সত্যি কথা বলতে বিরোধী দল এই ১২ বছরে সরকারের উপরে কোনো শক্তিশালী কোনো প্রভাব ফেলতে পারেনি, নেতিবাচক প্রভাব তাদের পড়েনি। এইবার এই একটা ধাক্কায় তারা কোথায় গেছে এবং রাত্রে এদের ঘুম হারাম হয়ে গেছে, আপনারা সবাই সেটা বুঝতে পারছেন। প্রায় ২,০০০ আলেম এখন জেলে আছে, তারা সবাই ডকুমেন্টেড না, বিভিন্ন সূত্রে তাদেরকে ধরে নেওয়া গেছে। সো যেই মুসলমান দেশে ২,০০০ আলেমকে এইভাবে বেআইনিভাবে জেলে রাখা হয়, সেটা আপনারা তো চিন্তা করেন। আমাদের এই ব্যাপারে আমরা আমাদের দল থেকে, গণ অধিকার পরিষদ থেকে প্রতিবাদ জানাই এবং আমি মনে করি জনগণের প্রতিবাদ এই ব্যাপারে আরও শক্তিশালী হবে ভবিষ্যতে। প্রথম ব্যাপারটা হলো যে কিছু সরকারের কিছু দালাল আর সরকারি কিছু লোক, কিছু সাংবাদিক, তারা একটা প্রশ্ন তুলেছে আমেরিকান স্যাংশন নিয়ে। কি উদ্দেশ্যে এটা দিচ্ছে? তারা কি চীনের সাথে রেষারেষির কারণে এটা দিচ্ছে, না অন্য কোনো কারণে? আরে এটা ব্যাপারটা খুব সহজ। আমাদেরকে কে উদ্ধার করছে, কেন করছে, এটার দিকে আমি তাকাচ্ছি না, কিন্তু আমাদের গণতন্ত্রকে উদ্ধার করার ব্যাপারে আমেরিকা একটা শক্তিশালী পদক্ষেপ নিয়েছে। ওদেরকে ধন্যবাদ এবং অভিনন্দন জানাই। এবং আমার মনে হয় বাংলাদেশে আমি যে কমেন্ট দেখছি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতে, বাঙালি জাতি আমেরিকার প্রতি একটা কৃতজ্ঞতা বোধ আছে এই ব্যাপারে। এটা আপনাকে একটু উদাহরণ দিই। যদি একটা মানুষ একটা শহরের পানির রেজার্ভয়ারে পড়ে যায়, যেখানে পানির সাপ্লাই দেওয়া হয়, আর রেজার্ভয়ারের কর্তৃপক্ষ তাকে তুলে বাঁচায়, তো যে লোকটাকে বাঁচিয়েছে সে বলছে তোমরা তো তোমাদের পানিটাকে বিশুদ্ধ রাখার জন্য তোমরা আমাকে বাঁচিয়েছো, আমাকে তো ভালোবাসো না তোমরা। এটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ না, তাকে যে বাঁচিয়েছে এই জিনিসটাই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। পানি নষ্ট হবে এবং কর্তৃপক্ষ দোষারোপ করবে লোকে, এটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ না। ব্যাপারটা হলো আমাদের দেশের গণতন্ত্রের পক্ষে একটা শক্তিশালী অবস্থান নিয়েছে একটা শক্তিশালী দেশ। এবং সত্যি কথা বলতে বিরোধী দল এই ১২ বছরে সরকারের উপরে কোনো শক্তিশালী কোনো প্রভাব ফেলতে পারেনি, নেতিবাচক প্রভাব তাদের পড়েনি। এইবার এই একটা ধাক্কায় তারা কোথায় গেছে এবং রাত্রে এদের ঘুম হারাম হয়ে গেছে, আপনারা সবাই সেটা বুঝতে পারছেন। আমি আজকে বাংলায় দু একটা কথা বলবো, তারপর আমি ইংরেজিতে বলবো। কারণটা আপনারা বুঝতে পারবেন। ইন্টারন্যাশনাল মিডিয়ার জন্যে কয়েকটা সাউন্ড বাইট দেওয়া দরকার। আমার কাছে এটা নালিশটা আসছে বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে যে সব বক্তৃতা বাংলায় তারা ঠিক ব্যবহার করতে পারছে না। আজকেও ব্যবহার করবে, যে এরকম কোনো গ্যারান্টি কেউ দিচ্ছে না, কিন্তু একটা সম্ভাবনা থাকে। তো আপনারা এই ব্যাপারে একটু ধৈর্য নিয়ে শুনবেন। আমি ইংরেজিতে অনেকগুলি কথা বলবো। First of all, there is a sea change in the politics in Bangladesh due to these sanctions. And the response of the government is something that I will also comment. Those who are suffering, like the lady here whose husband was taken away by RAB, and she could not even protest successfully to the police or to RAB about the disappearance of her husband, they are now getting newfound hope that they will receive justice one day. This is a very big deal. Those who have imposed the sanctions, again, thanks to them for this. There's a complete misunderstanding about the Magnitsky Act, or an intentional misreading of the Magnitsky Act by people in the government. Perhaps they don't understand that it is not a foreign policy tool. The Magnitsky Act is a human rights protection vehicle. Okay? It was done in 2012 to punish those who had violated human rights in Russia, and particularly after the death of a particular opposition leader. The severity of this action is immense. Those who have been sanctioned, not only are their visas cancelled, their wives, their sons and daughters, their brothers and sisters also come under financial sanctions. The financial sanctions under the Treasury Department of the US, and a particular department there called the COFAG. Basically, it's a department for foreign assets control. OFAC. They basically forbid any financial transactions through sanctioned entities such as RAB or sanctioned individuals who are identified. You can find it in the website as SDN, Special Designated Nationals. These distinguished killers and torturers are now on the list of the Treasury Department's SDN. Any financial transaction with these individuals is a violation of the US sanctions and can be punished by the addition of that person or entity into the sanctions. For example, the HSBC Bank in 2019, I believe, had to pay $1.9 billion in fines to the US Treasury Department for money laundering dealing with sanctioned individuals. So everyone will be nervous about touching these people or their money. Of course, this sanction will also, the list of those coming into these sanctions will be extended. I am fairly confident that this will happen soon. Okay? I don't have any absolute concrete dates, but I am reliably informed that it's going to happen soon, and there will be many important names in the government and the security agencies who are involved. The second thing that is going to happen, these similar sanctions are underway, are being planned in other countries. In effect, Canada, which has a law called the Victims of Foreign Corrupt Officials Act of 2017, will also impose similar sanctions. These countries, the Western countries where the rule of law exists, move in tandem. Britain has a similar law, the Europeans have a European Magnitsky Act, and Australia, this is also being discussed in the Senate. So these actions are going to come. So basically, there will be about 180 to 185 countries in the world where the United States and its allies have a very strong hold on the financial system. So these individuals who have been identified still have some very nice places to go to. They can still go to Venezuela. Caracas is a nice city, I understand. They can go to Pyongyang, and they can go to Myanmar. They can go to Syria. So there are still lots of places open to them, but maybe not the places they want to go to, where they believe that by looting this country and by destroying democracy in Bangladesh, they could take their families and live in comfort in a democratic country with the rule of law. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Their choices have been limited. They've destroyed our country's democracy, they've destroyed our country's environment, they've destroyed the education system and the health system, and then they want to go and live in comfort with their families with looted money. Everyone in the country is very, I think, pleased, except the looters, that this is not going to happen. Okay? In this world, they have been brought to judgment by a power that is much greater than they've ever dealt with. It's a very popular sort of action, first I want to say. Popular among the people of Bangladesh. They're very grateful for this. And I would like to express the thanks of all who believe in human rights, in the dignity of individuals, and in democratic freedoms to the United States government. The government of the day is required by law to impose sanctions on listed individuals. This is required by law. So the US government is not going to violate its law. And it's not a question of appointing lobbyists or PR firms to try to reverse this. The United States government cannot reverse this. Even if they wanted to, they cannot do that. They should understand that. The only way the Magnitsky Act can be stopped is by repeal. They can get 51 senators to vote on it sometime in the next 2 years and repeal the Magnitsky Act. But short of that, I'm sorry, what the foreign minister and his assistant are saying are absolutely untrue. And the people of the country should know that. It's just a fraud. One important issue about these sanctions is that they've been imposed on those who implemented illegal orders, but not those who ordered these killings and disappearances. Please note this. They are coming. Those who ordered these actions are coming. And by the imposition of the sanctions on RAB and these individuals, it is clear that the United States doesn't accept what is called the Nuremberg defense. Those of you who are aware of this, at the war trials after the Second World War at Nuremberg, one defense of the Nazis who carried out many killings of Jewish people and dissidents, one of their defenses was, we were only following orders. And the Nuremberg defense does not work. It didn't work at Nuremberg, and it is not going to work now. Any government official, whether he's police or army or RAB, following an illegal order will be brought to account in this world. And that is something that is obvious from these sanctions. You will not get away with it. You are told to kill someone by a minister or even higher. Then if you carry out that order, you will be subject to the law in your country, and you will be subject to sanctions elsewhere. You will not be able to live in comfort. In short, you will not get away with murder. That is what is being told to the criminals in Bangladesh who are wearing uniforms today. The government response is not just ineffective, it is basically stupid. And I think it's no great criticism of those handling this. I don't think even intelligent persons could explain the killings and disappearances and allow these people to get away. It's not going to work. The image of this country is being damaged. I'm sorry. It's the image of the party that is ruling this country that is being damaged, not the country. Image is not all. The reality, please stop the killings and your image will improve. You want to kill and maim and torture, and you want a PR firm to put, it's like having a dead body in the room and pouring perfume on it. Sorry, it's not going to work. It just isn't going to work. It's not a bright idea. So that is what the government is trying to do. Improve the image, but not improve the reality of torture, of killing, of forced disappearances. This is pointless. And someone should explain to them, your image is not going to improve until you restore democracy, restore democratic freedoms, until you stop your security forces from killing opposition activists and leaders. Until the reality changes, your image will be miserable in the world. You will not be allowed into summits for democracy, as in 2021, December 9th and 10th, the one that took place. I know that the grapes are sour, and the foreign minister made some comment that these are only weak democratic states that are invited, not the strong ones like Bangladesh and Venezuela and Syria, not the strong democratic states like Myanmar and North Korea. Only the weak ones are invited. That's fine. So he has chosen the company he wants to keep, that he wants this government to keep. But the people of this country do not accept that. We want to return to the community of nations, the international community that believes in human rights, in dignity, in democratic freedoms. We want to return to that society. At the moment, we're in danger of becoming a pariah. We're now categorized with North Korea, with Myanmar, those wonderful examples of democratic freedoms. Okay, this is not acceptable to the people of Bangladesh. The leaders of Bangladesh seem very comfortable with this. That's fine, but they're not going to get away with this. And their hopes of taking their fortunes to Maldives, to other countries, they should note that the countries of the world where the rule of law exists are now close to them, and it'll happen even more in the future. It will be close to them. The countries that are open now are those where the rule of law doesn't exist. So I would challenge them. You take $100 million to North Korea and you think you can enjoy it. Well, good luck to you people. There's a latest move to force those families that have suffered forced disappearances to sign a declaration that there was no such forced disappearance. This is laughable and it's contemptible. And anyone who is found to threaten a family to sign this paper, I'm telling you, they will be brought within the scope of the law when there is a change in government. So any police officer who goes to a house where there's been a forced disappearance and tries to threaten those people and make them sign a declaration, we will punish you. So we're letting you know, the police, RAB, the DGFI, whoever does this, we will punish you. And we will find out who you are and who dared to do such a thing against the people of this country. There's another issue that I want to raise. It's Kanak Sarwar's case. I was in the United States recently, and I was telling people there that I thought the United States was a free country. You could speak your mind. And they said, of course it's a free country. Why are you saying this? I said, yes, it's a free country for everyone except Bangladeshis. And they said, why is that? I said, because a Bangladeshi in the United States can be threatened by jailing his family members in Bangladesh. He can speak in New York, he can speak freely, but his family can be tortured and arrested in Bangladesh. And that is what has happened with that famous case of Konak Sarwar. So the people I spoke to were visibly shaken by this. They said, no, this can't happen. He lives in America. This is a free country. I said, yes, but not for Bangladeshis. We are not free wherever we live as long as this government remains in power. We are not free. We cannot be free. Even if we live in Switzerland or America or Canada, as long as this government remains in power, this brutal and oppressive government remains in power, we cannot be free. Now, there's another implication of the sanctions. The United Nations has given a letter, the letter of the 12 human rights groups. And this is a very, very important and disturbing development. It's based on, obviously, actions that have happened in Bangladesh, so I'm not blaming the human rights group. You don't blame the messenger, you try to find out why he's giving this message. The Bangladesh government is to blame for what has happened. They have used the security forces to kill, maim, and torture their opponents. And the security forces, under poor quality leadership, the army, RAB, the police, I'm telling you that the quality of the leadership is poor because they've jeopardized the reputations, the integrity of these institutions. So the army chiefs that were involved in this, all of them are guilty. And they've not only done that, they've destroyed the reputation of the armed forces, the police and security agencies. They have effectively created a problem in their future peacekeeping role. Peacekeeping is an activity where Bangladesh has enjoyed great success and appreciation from the world community. But now difficult questions are being asked. If you're peacekeeping abroad and you're torturing people in your own country, how do we know you will not do the same when you're sent to Congo or Liberia or another country? Those people are in great hardship. And if you use the same techniques on them that you've done on your own people, and you are supervising elections in other countries, and you fail to play a constructive, positive role in your own country in 2018, the army, I don't think, has any answer to this question. And this question is being raised. And not everyone in the army is corrupt. Not everyone has access to projects, road projects, infrastructure projects, or gets a free contract for a power plant. Not everyone. Jawans don't. Sergeants don't. Lieutenants, they don't get this opportunity. They have one way of earning clean, honest, halal money, and that is through the peacekeeping operations. And they look forward to it. That is the way they can earn enough to buy some land in the village or to buy an apartment. The failure of the leadership of these agencies to ensure that human rights were not violated has led to this activity now becoming at risk. This is very harmful for the country. We earned a lot of money through these peacekeeping operations. I understand there are about 17,000 people currently working abroad. And how to fix this is not a simple thing. The government clearly has no idea, maybe doesn't even care, and maybe the senior officers of the army are not bothered about peacekeeping. How much do you earn as a lieutenant general in peacekeeping? Approximately $300,000 a year. But they may earn that much in a month through illegal activities. Okay? That's a lieutenant general's UN pay plus combat allowance. It's about 300,000 something. That's a lot of money for most normal people. But for some individuals, $300,000 a year is not a big deal. That's a good IMF salary, I should tell you. But it's not a big deal. But among the junior officers, there must be concern. Among the soldiers, there must be concern. We have a way of earning halal money. And your failure, your leadership failure, has put this employment at risk. So there's a real problem in our security agencies, and the government has created this by using them as their hammer to wipe out the opposition, but this hammer is going to break. You will not be able to do that in the future. There have been no crossfire killings since the sanctions were imposed. So how many lives are saved? Maybe 300 killings a year, so let's say about 25 a month. So maybe already the sanctions have saved 25 lives in Bangladesh, already, today. That is the average rate of killing, of crossfires and disappearance. 25 crossfire killings, 25 disappearances have been prevented by the imposition of sanctions. So thank you again to the United States and for those who imposed the sanctions. So I have raised a lot of difficult issues, and I hope that some of you will try to educate yourself by reading up on the Magnitsky Act, reading up on the Treasury sanctions. Easy to Google. I think the foreign minister may benefit by learning how to Google and how to check on Treasury sanctions. It would be very helpful, and his assistant also could benefit from this. He would learn about the Magnitsky Act and Treasury sanctions and maybe make less deceptive and unhelpful statements about the actions of the United States. Thank you very much.